WWF later this week from one bus to another. JP, have you seen any other buses knocking around your parts this stuff? I was going to say London ways. I know you're far away from London now, but I was going to try and use it, by the way, as the intro before when things absolutely went swimmingly. That was going to be the background there. The UK version of the Lex Express, which is the Big Tone Express. There it is there with apparently CM Punk, FTR, Pac, Samoa Joe. Are these buses segregated by the locker room segregation at this point, JP? Is that what they're doing?
Oh, it is quite weird, isn't it, for that little lineup on there? I hope we're going to get a rival elite one as well. And if they're doing W13, so this appears to be around like kind of Leytonstone and the like. So maybe that's East London. So then you can do the West and do that, try and get that kind of rivalry going in there, or just different people for different parts of London there as well. What I will say is this is a very good idea. Like, it's very old school advertising, but if you're wanting to get footfall and get people to notice, stick it on. You'd be amazing how much this sticks in people's minds. It costs a lot of money, but the host, if we can get ourselves to London beforehand and just get on one of these buses with it on, just to say that we've got on board the AEW, the GRAPPL AEW bus, like, I think it'd be worth it for that as well.
Do people like see an advertisement on a bus and go, "I'll get those tickets"? Are these the people at the Wembley "We really mean it" stuff is actually for? Like, I just don't know. Like, who are we aiming this advertising? I suppose it's just overall awareness, isn't it? Make everybody aware that AEW is going to be in town. You love to see it because it's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? As well, as far as like the money this thing is probably going to make.
It is. But it's also it's repetition, but it's just getting it out in people's faces while they're just walking along the streets and stuff like that. Just for that to be there and existent, and just put AEW out there as well. The other thing you'll want to have is follow-up one to say AEW Dynamite on ITV4 at 9 p.m. or whatever it is. It's those kind of things, follow-up stuff that kind of needs to go along with it. But this is the kind of mass advertising we've spoken about before that they're doing, and it's part of the campaign. Do I think it'll work? I think they'll get some off it, and there's not a whole lot they need to shift. So, like, I think every little helps. To paraphrase Tesco's in there. I mean, Ewan says here, Jamie Hayter, Pac, Takeshita, Jarrett, and Lethal are all in South London. I don't know if is that real. Like, they're legit on buses driving around London. That combination. If I told you that 5 years ago, you'd have gone like, the world gone fuck. Oh yeah, they're on a show at Wembley Stadium. Like, what the fuck has happened?
There's a better look on it for the video viewers there. Yeah. So yeah, the one we've got there. Yeah, that's like I say, that's the Collision roster. Like, if that's I don't know what roster that would be. Jamie Hayter, Pac, Takeshita, Jarrett, and Lethal. But yeah, they're doing. It's around. It's just weird to me that they can't have them all on the same one. It's just like, but I suppose that's Tony Khan. He's a man of the people. Unlike BT with their BT bus that was exclusively for journos, you can jump on the W13 to, where's that say it's going? Leytonstone Square.
Leytonstone. Like, so
Leytonstone,
East London. Just had a look on there as well. I'm just trying to see which part on here, but it's bunging it up because he keeps doing things. Yeah, it goes through Woodford and stuff like that. Ends up at St Thomas of Canterbury Church. I've no idea where that is. Never spent that much time in Leytonstone, to be honest. Not even that far away from where I grew up. But it's probably gentrified to fuck now. I'll just go with that.
Most likely, but it's good to see the way getting out there. Like, there's obviously been a lot of discussion this week. I was going to say, before we get into our main stuff, like particularly on our Discord today, we were chatting a bit about like what we're all expecting for the big show. Obviously, we've got Blood and Guts coming up this week, which we're going to preview in a little bit and run through all that. But I think once that's out the way, we're going to have a better idea of what the matches are. Or do you have any inkling on what you think it might be? Like where we are now? Like, I think you rule out Punk versus Omega and the Bucks versus FDR. Like, it's starting to feel more and more based on the TV this week that, like, I mean, the only people Punk's working with are Samoa Joe, Jay White, and maybe Ricky Starks as an outside bet. One of them, most likely going to get Omega Ospreay. Don't know what the what's the big match that they can plaster all over these buses, JP, and sell things at this last minute.
I don't know if there is necessarily that they're going to be able to do this outside of like Punk Omega would draw in, I think, American fans wanting to see that. I think that would completely seal the deal for it. I think the only guarantee is Ospreay Omega. That's the one that feels like it will happen because we don't know about Jamie Hayter's timeline for coming back. And a lot of AEW shows, as we've spoken about at times, like they're kind of much more of an ensemble piece, aren't they? Like so, but it's about like we spoke about this kind of last week. Really, it's about keeping the dross off as much. That's the thing I want. I don't want to see there to be fluff or multi-person matches for the sake of having multi-person matches. I don't. That's not the stuff that kind of we're going to talk about a show that's very, very heavy in that kind of stuff. And I think that's a problem in a lot of wrestling pay-per-views is the need to try and get everybody onto it. Whereas I want to just see some element of quality control. But the Punk angles, speak about it a bit, it just makes me think, where's this going for necessarily All In? My fear is that they get a little bit complacent, whereas this is a card they need to knock out of the fucking parks. There's still pressure on it to do well. Just because there's a big crowd, it has to deliver to the point where AEW becomes a big part of the wrestling fans' consciousness in the UK, and it isn't just WWE, and you somehow break it. And this is the best opportunity to do that. So they can't take the card lightly. They need to put on stuff on here where this is going to be incredible and no fucking about.
Yeah, that's it. We were talking on the weekend show, weren't we? Like, obviously, WBD have been pushing for more AEW pay-per-views. We don't know if that's connected to the story that allegedly, according to Andrew Zarian, All In is going to be airing in the United States on BR Live as a kind of internet pay-per-view in a way. It's a very simplistic way of putting it, but basically that's what that is. If you get it through BR Live, which might mean it's slightly a cheaper price, which might mean it's a secondary show compared to a regular pay-per-view. I just don't want to go down that slippery slope. We talked about, like, you're not selling any more pay-per-views over here because, like, newsflash, the 80-odd thousand people who might have bought your pay-per-view are going to be in the building. So I think there's any chance of that happening. But like we were saying then, the closer you get with no ITV involvement announced and with that, I just, let's not slip at this final hurdle. I want to get blood and guts out the way this week, and then I want to get to, like, let's start announcing some big stuff, whether it's like, for Punk, for example. Like, I think I don't think people might expect me to be like, oh, I want to see Punk Joe at Wembley. I wouldn't book that. I think that should, if anything, that could be at your all-out match for Chicago. I don't think that's a match for Wembley. Maybe Punk Bryan, if Bryan's healthy, might happen. That's someone who's clearly, willing to work with him, and maybe we haven't seen it because of, like, the injury. And I suppose the blood and gut stuff was still to get out of the way. That's the only real kind of question mark for me, really, because, like I say, I think we know what Kenny's going to be doing. We know Pac's going to be in something, prominent based on, again, this week's TV. Maybe he could be doing something with Kenny on one of the shows, and Kenny could work Ospreay on the other, which might indicate, suppose, that could be, your big all-in match. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting over these next few weeks as those pieces fall into place.
Yeah, and that's it. They've got a massive roster, and I think there's something that, when we spoke about it on the weekend show and you said about this increase in pay-per-views, I thought, actually, this is I'm slightly more warming to the idea because, like, I generally agree with you. I think actually that focus is good for them. And this is the last sort of period of sort of downtime, I imagine, because they've got not only All In and All Out, but they've got Arthur Ashe afterwards, which you can't half-arse it with that one as well. They want to do stuff, but they want to be coming off with a lot of momentum and everything else. They've got a big roster. And more pay-per-views, would imagine there'd be more spots that you have to maneuver around the top of the card. So newer people should end up being pushed in theory. And they've got a lot of people who they could slip into those roles to see if they're good, like a Malachi Black, an Andrade.
Kind of seen that with Collision already.
Yeah, we are seeing that. And it makes things more interesting. I'll say that much. I've got a theory in my head where Hobbs is going to be CM Punk's enforcer, that he's going to play a part in all of this as well, and he's going to end up he's going to be part of his heel turn and everything else, because I think he fancies doing a Batista job on him. But I think overall, with All In, we'll have a better idea after Blood and Guts I think at that
Mhm.
point we'll know that BCC Elite feud will be finished, thank Christ, and then they should all be going in different directions. And if that's the case, there should be, hopefully some proper feuds developing.
I've got to ask you this. I'm a troll now. And maybe we've gone so that far on this road. Maybe we'll get Collision out the way quickly. But like, I was going to say, have you seen the BTE skit from today where where the elite did the whole thing from like the end of Dynamite was because they had the Kenny didn't he down and Pac was about to come off the top rope. And like I did think watching it, like surely the elite should have come out by now, and then Kenny gets the mic, happens to without Kota Ibushi, and then the elite come out afterwards, and like they did a whole bit on it on being the elite. I do find them a little bit cringeworthy these days, and there is a part of me that I could picture JP watching that going, fucking grow up, lads. But I thought it was funny, to be fair. I thought it was well done. They were just kind of like just hanging around backstage going, no, we'll wait. Yeah, Kenny told us to wait until he announced Kota Ibushi, and then they make the big run in. I don't know, that's an indication of all the things you hate about the Elite JP, but I thought it was it made me laugh.
I would actually say that's what BTE should be for. If that's their outlet to do that, it's fine. I've sort of given up watching it because I think in the era of AEW they had to, and they're not covering the stuff I want to. If they were talking about Punk, I'd be watching it, but they're not. So I think as a result, like I might end up watching it when they inevitably make sort of passive aggressive comments about Collision and the rest of it. But that's kind of like let them do it. If it just gives them that place to let off steam and do that stuff, I think that's actually quite good.
Yeah, that's it. And then they should be tie them down and force the Young Bucks to have really good tag matches. I mean, I feel like that's easy to book.
Senior VPs is the best business decision for the company. You would think.
Oh, the great.